So Dr. Sleep, where to begin? I'm really pleased with how this went down, how it ended. I know there's a little bit of discrepancy between this and the book, but I like that it was true to being a sequel to Kubrick's The Shining rather than solely Stephen King's The Shining. The biggest giveaway being the Overlook Hotel still exists, whereas I think it blows up in the book or something like that. I love that they returned to it. It felt so good, the same way that like the sequel to Blade Runner had a kind of return to old characters. It was a really satisfying ending, and then it had some funny parts here in between, which was really refreshing for people like me who get very scared easily. I would definitely recommend this to others. It was exciting, and I can't wait to hear what Shane has to say about it as well.
Okay, I'm leaving the theater now. That was fucking so good. That was so good. I'll stand out in front of the theater. It's very cold in Chicago. It's 10 degrees. I'm outside the Logan Theater in Chicago, Illinois, and I'm freezing. There's no we. Oh, that movie was so good. I'll keep this to a minute, I guess. Try to, but boy, it was so cool. The house made an, or the hotel made an appearance. Oh, that movie was so good. It's like my life right now. It's basically a documentary on what I'm going through in my life. But it was so good. I really enjoyed it. And I don't usually enjoy films, remakes, or things that are attaching to old hits, let's say. That was fabulous. I can't think of anything that was wrong with it. I really enjoyed it. I just enjoyed every little bit of it. The monsters, everything. It was so good. I wish the CGI would have been able to be up to date, up to a standard where like you could have seen the old characters in the movie, like Jack Nicholson playing that bar scene. The person who looked like that character. I wish he was actually the old Jack Nicholson. So I guess that's the only thing I wished was technology was so up to date they could have made the film with old characters. Well, they did, but with the actors as they looked 30 years ago. There you go. There's my take, Nannerl. Talk to you soon. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing really well.
Excellent. We're recording and everything. We got going.
We are recording. We got it going. And yes, we meaning myself and the Overlook Hotel are here recording you.
Yeah, what a great movie. Oh, I'm sorry I said that so quick.
Dr. Sleep. So good. So good. What a good movie.
You loved it?
I really did. I was going in, fingers crossed, really hoping I would like it because I love Kubrick, and I knew that it was more true to the Kubrick version than the book. So I was hoping for that because I don't like the book as much as the movie. And I was mildly scared that I was going to get scared because Shining the movie scared the shit out of me. But it's been so long since I saw the original one. So I feel like I came in a different person, obviously older, but I left feeling so, like, refreshed. It was strangely therapeutic to watch.
I could agree with you on that, but for a different reason. But, so I love the movie, and I went there only because you had suggested it, and we're going to record. So I'm like, all right, the last movie you suggested was good. I'll take you up on the challenge. I thought it was going to be a dog, and it was so fucking good.
Dogs are good?
What?
Dogs are good.
Okay, well, whatever. It was really, really just so good. I loved all the I love when they're bringing back like the door, the hatcheted door, the red room door, when he goes back to the hotel, the Overlook Hotel. They bring the hotel was in the movie. So it was like I never thought that we would see characters from the first movie in this one. I I have an excellent imagination, and watching that film, I could not imagine them doing that, and they did. So that was like such a bonus on top of a good movie. But you said it was like therapeutic for you.
It really was on so many levels, but I want to hear more what you have to say before I say more about that.
Mine was therapeutic because I relate everything to myself, and that I get maybe everyone does when they look at art, but it was like my life. It was like my life unfolding, like these dark entities that are just trying to suck like psychic vampires and
Fuck, I called them psychic vampires when I was talking about it earlier too. I called them something else too, but I'll get to that.
Yeah, they were like psychic vampires, and it reminded me of what I'm going through in my life. And whatever, Rose the Hat, that's the woman I'm always attracted to, that tears me up, that just destroys me. So I was like, Rose the Hat, and that's the evil. I don't want to say evil because I like those words are so used poorly, but that person, this very dark entity, whatever, however you would describe Rose the Hat, however you would, I am very attracted to Rose the Hat type of women. And in my new life, I have this set of values, and it's sort of like, don't do that. Don't go there.
Rose the Hat was quite a narcissist.
Thank you. So you put the word on it I did not want to use, but yes, that's my mom. That's Mother's Day. Rose the Hat was my mother, basically. Let's suck the soul out of these people.
And then she was threatened by the little girl. She didn't want to keep her alive because she would overshadow her. And this works in so many different levels. Do you see yourself as Danny also because you were a child around the same time Danny was a child?
Well, I saw myself as Danny and Crow. Both. Like, okay. Crow is just sort of going to get the girl for Rose the Hat. Like, and he was the guy like, yeah, let's keep her. This is going to be great. And she's like, no. So I saw myself as Crow, but I also saw myself a bit like Danny. That's only my recent struggle, though. It's like he's struggling to change, not be an alcoholic, all that stuff. So it's like this, it's one of those rebirth moments. I don't know about rebirth, but those moments where you change, your life changes. Mm-hmm. So I related to him on that level. Like, I'm in upheaval. My whole life's in upheaval. And which way do you go? Do you go just what did he say the line? The man takes the drink takes the man. Yes. The drink takes. The third part was the drink takes the man.
Yes.
But it was such a great line. Oh my God! And then they had the Jack Nicholson character in there.
The actor who played him did a good job. It was so convincing.
I am sorry. I'm starting to talk over you.
No. We're both excited. Go ahead.
Thank you again for tripping me to a good movie, because that's how excited I was when I left. And I was like, this is so good. And that totally got me like it's a right hook. I did not expect this at all.
The abusive tone and how he's almost cowering to that bartender too. Danny. He's cowering to the bartender because he's facing his abuser. And that facing the trauma in the whole thing made me think of yourself too. How you have so much of a value in self-care now, and Danny doesn't see it until later on. And he kind of sees it through this little girl about self-care. He sees it through his new friend, that, the dude with the train and stuff like that. And I saw a little bit of myself in the dude with the train thing, because I have a tendency of taking in strays and being their rock.
Hello.
And I felt like, okay, so if we're ever in the woods, do not let one of these psychic vampire bitches tell me to kill myself, and we'll be good. I've lived this long, but I didn't have to suck the life out of anyone to live 500 years.
Yeah, well, I'm like Crow. I might just, I don't know what I should do as she's sucking the life out of you. I'll be like, there's me. I love that part in the whiskey place where Danny was able to fend off the whiskey because he smelled it and it wasn't his brand.
It smelled like his dad, and he remembered abuse with that smell.
Right. It wasn't his whiskey. It was his dad's whiskey.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I was like, that is so nuanced. Stephen King wrote this, I think,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So Stephen King's like that, like fucking perfect. What a goddamn precision writer.
Let me stop you right there. This scene is not in the book, and here's the biggest reason why. In the book, the Overlook Hotel blew up. There's no Overlook Hotel in the book. So they don't actually go back to the hotel in the book. This is exclusively in the movie because in the Kubrick film, they drive away from it at the end. The mom and the son. So it's true to the... But, can I ruin the book for you and let you know what happens at the end of the book? Because there's no
please
hotel.
Do.
He teams up with his dad's ghost, and his ghost basically defeats Rose the Hat. Instead of all those old ghosts that are in the hotel, because the hotel ghosts don't exist in it because the hotel's no longer there. So Dad teams up with him. He gets a hug from his dad, and then his dad disappears. It's a very happy ending.
I would have absolutely hated the movie if that were to happen.
It would have been like Dreamcat. Like, it reminded me of Dreamcatcher a little bit, how, like, the Slow Kid Duddits ended up being that other alien who fights off the gray, and then he goes poof into a bunch of Dreamcatcher stuff, and kind of bye-bye kind of thing. To me, that ending would have been very much like that, and it wouldn't have been... It's not cinematic at all.
Right, it would have been too, like, superhero or whatever, like, cheesy. I would have been like... Cheese City.
Yes, I would have been dissatisfied if that was the ending, and I was kind of biting my lip hoping it wasn't that ending the whole time. So then, yeah, when he sicks all of his locked box of, like, repressed memories on that character, that was, like, the same satisfaction of the T-Rex on Jurassic Park taking care of the raptors. It just, you feel so good for him that he, like... He's had these repressed memories, but then he lets them out. It's so symbolic of, like, therapy, facing those traumas again. He had the courage to go back into that fucking hotel and face his trauma again. But then he ends that cycle of abuse by going down with the hotel. Kind of like that whole, like, it has to go through 8 generations to go away. That idea of sadness or abuse, and that hotel burns down with him, and the way he's hugging his mom as a child or whatever as it burns down. Like, I was fighting that, like, don't cry kind of feeling about that. But yeah, it has a very symbolic feeling, I think, of ending abuse.
What a wonderful... I did not catch that, but that is so true. That is so true. I was wondering, there was a lot of symbolic things happening there for me, as I've already mentioned. But I did not catch that one, but that is so true. He was dealing with the traumas. So true. What, just like counseling. Wow.
But look at these other bad guys, these like guys in the caravan with Rose the Hat, how they had that other girl join them who had that power. And it's kind of like pedophile rings or other cycles of abuse where people get abused and then they join it later on. A lot of child molesters were molested as kid also.
Yes.
Like, and there's always been that strange connection about not necessarily sexual abuse to Danny, but that severe physical abuse that silenced him as a child. He's a quiet kid throughout the movie. The original movie, and the these other people are kind of like victims of abuse who continue to abuse others because they were abused, so they gang together as victims who are corrupted.
I guess that they did illustrate that with the girl in the movie
symbolic
theater.
Of course, but
what?
Symbolic, of course.
Yeah, they illustrated that in the movie theater with the girl who left the scars on a man's cheek.
Do you know what? That was pretty awesome. That was pretty awesome that she did that. She was her own Chris Hansen, catching predators.
Who's Chris Hansen?
Chris Hansen's that dude who had that show on, like, Dateline or whatever, To Catch a Predator, and he'd trap those pedophiles and then sit in that room waiting for them or whatever. and be
I've
like,
only
"There's
heard,
no Rachel. I'm Chris Hansen, and I caught you," or whatever.
I've only seen snippets of that show in pop culture references. I'm
Okay.
not that, but I get what you're saying. Yes, no, okay, Chris Hansen. To Catch a Predator, I
Yeah.
get it. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's what she was. That was really such a good fucking movie. I'm
Um.
trying to. Oh, you know what?
Mhm.
I loved the young girl. I loved all the acting.
The little girl was very cute. She was a good character also. Like, especially when she's like doing her shine and her like eyes are rolled back and she's doing all the weird stuff. She was so good at acting in that.
Yeah, and that's the one thing not the one thing. There was many things, but I really love that they gave I've never heard the definition of shining before. I haven't read the books. I've only seen the first movie.
The
So when they
old
said
black man says it in the
first
movie. Yeah. The old
that
black
it's
man,
magic.
yeah, Dick, he tells Danny that the shine is something that happens to people and some things. And he doesn't quite understand it, but he describes it as like an exception, just an exceptional gift.
But he didn't say the word magic.
No,
did he?
no, he didn't use magic. The girl uses
when
the
they
word
use,
magic. The girl does because she's
right.
into magic.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right, that's what I'm saying I liked. I've never heard that before. That specific terminology of magic when she said the shining's magic or shine is magic, and I was like, oh wow, this is so cool. And do you believe in ESP? People can read minds, stuff like that, or is it just intuition, or how do you feel like about that?
I'm on the fence. I have really good horse sense, but at the same time, I am pretty sure I can read minds.
Sometimes. Oh, I love this.
Sometimes.
I love yeah, well, that's what it is. Like sometimes then you get the odds going, and this last year I've been keeping track of weird shit like that, and I don't have odds good enough to say I could read minds. Like it becomes like even if it were 60-40, it's not good enough. If it were 80% of the times, like I'm like, I knew you were going to grab that water, and Nannerl just grabbed a glass of water to drink. You can't see
Joke's
this, but
on you. It's lemon juice.
oh, see, he is totally shot. Yeah, and I like the dark versus the light. I don't really like entering into conversations of evil and good or dark versus light, but it's hard to deny the dark versus light thing. The abyss, it's hard to the shine. I like that the brighter you shine, the more they want to eat you.
They want to give you shade. They want to take away your light.
And that's so true in life. The more talented you are, we both relate on that issue of your performance, like how you've been treated, and you're like, I'm really talented in this field. I shouldn't be treated this way. And I feel the same way, like, and I've had people tell me something similar to that, like, well, it's just because you the bigger light cast something like cast a bigger shadow. I wish I could remember all these cool bumper sticker statements, but I thought that part of the movie was great. Yeah, I related to it. I loved it. It was good and creepy. And I don't like horror movies anymore. I don't like seeing shit like that. But not like that. That was great.
It was like riding a ride, I feel like. So much of it was a ride. And then, like, to be honest, I was kind of anticipating the going to the Overlook Hotel because I knew the movie was true to the previous film. And so I was kind of amping myself for that part. And then when they started going to it, and he said they were going to Colorado, I was thinking, yeah, it's happening! And, yes, do you know what? The special effects used in it was so beautiful. Like when the girl looks in the window and flips around her room or whatever, or like when she's going through the files of each other's like minds, that's like the best fucking metaphor of like sizing someone up or like figuring them out.
I think I'm reiterating this from the minute we record when we leave. I don't know if you did this, but I recorded a minute after I left the theater. And the one thing I reiterate, I've said it in there, but it's like, I wish CGI was up to the task, our technology was up to the task, where you could have seen Jack Nicholson in that role, like his old character, or the old mom, like her doing that.
Actually, they can. Good. They can.
What?
They've done it with Star Wars, and they did it a while ago with Tron as well, the Tron remake as well.
I remember that. I just don't remember it being that impressive.
I think
Even in
that
Star Wars,
they
you could
chose
sort of
not
see.
to
What?
because I think they chose not to because, and I have a couple interpretations why, because I did think about that too. I half expected when I saw the bartender's hand over the drink to Danny, I
Yeah.
half expected to see CGI of Jack Nicholson and then Shelley Duvall as well. But I think some of it has to do with casting new actors. There's been a lot of push against a lot of CG because it puts actors out of work. So it might be also the idea of giving someone unknown a job, something like that. It might also, on the non-business side of it, it could be, and this is just a suggestion. I'm not an insider or anything like that. I'm just making guesses. But anyway, another thought I had regarding that was perhaps we're looking in Danny's memory. He may not see his father the same way we saw Jack Nicholson.
Oh, wow, that's funny. That's a good way to take it. That's a good way to take it.
I'm kind of copying out on this, but do you know what? I really liked both of the actors though. I liked the one who played the dad, the one who played Shelley Duvall's character, Wendy. The mom was so well cast, I felt like, and the little boy looked exactly like the little boy.
Certainly. I'm not even putting them down. I just would have liked to seen it with those characters. I think, but maybe not. Oh, and here's on a side note. Now this is a brother I don't talk to anymore, but my younger brother tried out for Danny, and he made it to like a final cut at some point.
Oh, that's like peak trivia right now.
Yeah, he was like in the first the last 2 dozen people to go for it.
Oh my gosh, that's beyond cool.
Oh yeah, well I wish we still talked, but he's
Yeah, that would have been a really cool person to watch the movie.
Oh,
that could have been me.
That's exactly how it is. If that were me, these girls would be talking to me.
All right. So you mentioned earlier bumper sticker kind of phrases, and actually the movie had one that made me cringe every time I heard the character say it. Eat well, live longer. Isn't that some live, love, laugh, it's basic bitch kind of talk? Eat well, live longer. It sounds like some sort of like Kaiser Permanente or something like that slogan. And it made me cringe because the woman is going around barefoot with her yoga pants on, meditating on the top of her RV. She's probably one of those women who does yoga at the airport for attention. And she did so many white women tropes that made me so like, this is how I felt the whole time. I was gonna say that Rose the Hat and the caravan of other psychic vampires also really reminded me. Here would be my way of paraphrasing the movie summary if someone asked me what happens in this movie and I couldn't remember characters. I would say, this Wokey Doke and her group of theater kids are going around and sucking the talent out of other people. So they're like emotional tourists in that way. They're sucking out the shine because those people are remarkable and they're not. So
emotional tourists.
And so it's people who want to experience something. They want to put on that mask, but they don't want the responsibilities. You don't know how tortured those kids with the shine might be. But they want that gift because it would make them special. And so they go around doing so because they could never be talented, but they have to leech on to others.
That's nice. Did you come up with the phrase emotional tourist?
No, I didn't. I saw it on, I don't remember what. I think the show American Dad. I think
it's a good one.
Heard it.
It's a good one to take. I love that line. Yeah, well, I love the way you've seen that. You know, I definitely agree with you on psychic vampires. That's funny. We saw them both that way.
It's definitely a narcissistic character, and like interesting also
The
how
woman of my dreams. I mean, the woman of my nightmares. I kept looking at her going, I'm like, oh my God, and if I weren't going to counsel all this stuff, I'm like, I'm so attracted to this woman. And I'm like, it's not just solely because she has a physical, actress look. I'm like, this whole edit, I'm like, oh my God, this is my mom. This is all of my past girlfriends. And oh my God. Yeah, so I related to it on those levels. Like I just saw my whole life there. The flying monkeys of the narcissist, all that stuff. I saw the group of people as flying monkeys. They call them in the
like Winkies, yes, and
no,
like
when you read up
Winkies
on
are the flying monkeys in Wizard of Oz.
right, but when you read up on like covert narcissism, they call these people flying monkeys,
Which is likely a Wizard of Oz reference.
Oh, for sure, certain, but I'm referencing the narcissist lines that they'll tell to each other. Like when you look at these groups online, they'll talk about flying monkeys, and I had to ask, the fuck is a flying monkey? What do you mean by that? I thought Wizard of Oz, but I knew that wasn't what they were talking about. And they're talking about like friends who do the narcissist bidding to continue to torture you.
Okay.
Something like that. So anyway.
All right. Well, we are at the time where... Oh, I do have to ask you. Were you sad that Danny burnt with the house?
Well, no, I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't sad. I didn't even when he was standing in the room, I felt like he was still alive, so I didn't even process that like that. But, no.
I felt like it was such a cleansing ritual, and it was so like, I felt so good for him. I felt like, good for you. Do you know what? Okay, so my favorite movie in the entire world, everyone, is Fire Walk With Me. And it reminded me a little bit of Fire Walk With Me, how Laura put on the ring to take matters into her own hands and sacrifice herself for the greater good of others. And she faces her trauma in that story too. And it kind of made me think of that. On another thing, the bad guy Bob kind of looked like the Crow character. The Crow character reminded me of like a younger version of I forgot the actor's name. I think his name was like Frank Villanueva or something like that. But the guy who played Bob looked very much like that Crow dude.
From Twin Peaks?
Yes, from Twin Peaks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway,
I guess I would. If I think about his death, if I think about Danny's death, I think about, well, he would have had a hard time going back to his life. His friend that killed himself. I mean, boy.
I was wondering if both of them left a note for the doctor or anyone that they worked for or anything of, hey, we're going to be gone a couple days. Like, how do you return from that? But also, the woman who rented the room to Danny was such a stickler about everything. And did she become deaf the next day? Because when the wall broke from the red rum, I was like, how did you sleep through that? But maybe she went on vacation.
And then how do you find a friend that's going to help you go dig up a dead body, no matter how innocent
I'm that friend. I'm that friend.
Really?
Yes.
No matter how you're really going to go dig up this kid's body? But you're going to get incriminated in a crime of some sort. So it's like,
I'm a really good friend.
Oh, that's good. I remember. For me, that was a challenging moment in the movie because I was like, wouldn't you call the police? Like,
see, I was a little bit troubled by that too, especially when they touched the fingertips and then the face showed up. And then, like, do you know what? I was so into that part because I didn't know what was going to happen that I pulled my sweater up to my nose and was like peeking over my sweater in suspense. And when they started barfing because they smelled the body, but also they saw the boy's face, I started to smell something weird underneath my sweater, like almost like the suggestive thought of something gross made it suddenly smell gross, and I had to pull back my sweater normal because I felt like I could smell the body too because I was so into the movie.
Oh, I love that. And the only thing I could relate to that is I walked to the movie. It was 10 degrees out today in Chicago, 10. And it was fucking iced. And I was going to take the bus. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to walk this. It's like 40-minute walk to the movie theater. I'm going to walk this because in The Shining, it's he dies in a frozen wasteland. Like, he freezes to death. Jack Nicholson does.
Did you feel like Jack there? Going through the maze of Chicago to the Overlook movie theater?
Yeah, Chicago's bad with the wind, but there was no wind and it was very sunny. So it was a nice walk. It was a pleasant walk.
Nice. How many whoopee cushions would you give this movie?
Oh, yeah. We're doing 1 through 5, right?
We're doing 1 through 5.
I'm such a weirdo. I just want to give it 5. I'm so
giving
easy.
It 5. This has been.
Me too.
I'm not always pleased with movies, but I also don't go and watch movies that I know I'm not going to be pleased with. To tell you the truth, I rarely go to the movies. And when we started talking about making these little mini-sodes, I felt like, okay, we're going to watch movies that are good, and I'm going to be bossy pants about these movies. So I'm very pleased that you enjoyed this, because I have chosen the movie twice now, and I feel like it's getting to the point. Do we swap, or do we, when there's a dud, we swap like baseball? How do we do this?
I don't think there's a big deal. You can suggest all the movies you want, and I'll do the same. If I see something. I did see a movie last night too.
What did you see?
It was called Lighthouse, and it was very good. I just wish they would have had some subtitles, because when they talk, look it up on YouTube. There's this funny scene where what, and they go back and forth saying what for like 2 minutes. It's like it was a good film.
Okay,
but it's a trip. And so there you go. You get the extra bonus review. Spoiler.
Nice, very nice.
Oh, I didn't spoil it. I just said I liked it. Good.
Yeah. Well, our time has come. I sincerely appreciate you coming to see this movie with us. If you haven't seen it yet and we just spoiled it for you, go watch it anyway, because you'll still enjoy it. I feel like even if you know what's going to happen next, again, it's like a ride. If you like a ride at an amusement park, you're going to ride it again.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Cinematically, it's beautiful. There's there's a lot of camera angles that remind me of The Shining.
Yeah.
The color schemes add a little more color to the palette, but it's still true to it. When they go back to the hotel, the nostalgia and fan service is correct. It's not too much. It's not too much of a wink to the audience or anything like that. I feel like it's well done. My partner didn't really care so much about seeing the elevator open up with the flooding blood again, but I kind of like it, because I like the dial. I love how the dials above the elevator look like eyes, and when it opens up, it's like a screaming mouth. Just this, like, trouble coming out of this mouth that's screaming. It's out of control. I love that the little girl called the place sick, like cancer. Everything about it, just go watch it. Now we're gonna turn into our rooms here at the Overlook Hotel and call it a night. Have a good one. I've been Nannerl and Shane. Speak of the Devil Pod.
That was good.
Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and tune in to our next episode wherever you prefer to listen to podcasts. You can find us at Speak of the Devil Pod on Twitter, and contact us at speakofthedevilpod@gmail.com. For Shane's artwork or to support his endeavors, please visit ShaneBugby.com or find him on Twitter at ShaneBugby. I've been Nannerl. Have a good one.
Oh, and ShaneIsTheDevil.com.